Bali Blockchain Center. This is Blocktalk.
So a few weeks ago, I think during 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks before Polkadot viewing party, Krishna talked about BlockSpace and the development of it, and now he is going to, today actually, he's going to elaborate more about that. But before we get to the meaty part, we are going to start off with a market update from Republic Rupiah, and also with a Polkadot ecosystem in general update from Krishna as well.
Good afternoon. Meet again with me, Krishna, Polkadot Ambassador, for quick updates on what has been going on in the recent couple of weeks. So, as we already done viewing party in this building last month, so continuing with that, Polkadot conclude this month with a narrative of Polkadot 1.0, which means that Polkadot code base and the repository of project and the technical side already reached version 1.0, which means all the promises that mentioned in the white paper in 5 years ago when first already launched, already been delivered to community by Parity Technology and Web3 Foundation, and now entering the new phase of development and also community, which will be Polkadot 2.0. So we will talk it later, but that's maybe the biggest news and achievement that already been talked lately. The second one, maybe a quick update for the next event. The biggest event on the Polkadot ecosystem, especially for developer, will be Sub-Zero. That will be held in Lisbon in September 2023. Sub-Zero is World Polkadot Developer Conference, similar to Polkadot Decade, but for developers. So if any one of you interested to join, then it's really a great time event for networking with other development side, not just from the Parity, but all the parachain or ecosystem project gathered together. Then this moment also, Polkadot Blockchain Academy being held in California, UC Berkeley. So we would expect the next batch of Polkadot Academy hopefully being held in Asia. I heard that that could be in Hong Kong or Singapore. Let's see where it will be conducted. And for you who may be more interested to the business side or project, something like that, or it just open. Polkadot just open Polkadot Relayer Incubator Program 2023 can be seen on the website. So if you have interesting idea, project, or maybe already MPV, but if I'm can recall it correctly, it's not MPV. So you have already something been built, and then go into the next scale into the Polkadot ecosystem, then it will be the best track for you. And then if maybe you want just study like tutorial how to build something on Polkadot in a casual way, you can also see the Polkadot study. It's an initiative funded by Treasury. So you could study or even create a tutorial where you can get paid, obviously. So maybe that's that I can say for the update. Unfortunately, we have no slide, so yeah. Thank you for coming, and let's hand over to moderator.
I think a bit of introduction would be good. Zian, why don't you introduce yourself a bit? What is your role in Mandala Chain and how Mandala Chain is going?
Oh, okay. First of all, I'm Zian. I'm one of the engineers that's involved in the making of Mandala Chain. So my main role in Mandala Chain is about I also work on the protocol level, the node of the Mandala Chain itself, and then some decentralized application that is currently on development. And so today I'm here as the representative of the Mandala Chain. That's all.
Oke, makasih. And Dr. Krisna bisa tolong perkenalan diri?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm Krishna, Polkadot ambassador, also substrate development developer, which also help Mandala Chain, helps Jan in the development side. So I don't think it's a coincidence, but we are making it on purpose.
I've heard a lot of interesting news about both Mandala Chain and Polkadot actually, and we are going to get into that. Kali ini kita akan membahas bagaimana Mandala Chain itu masuk ke Polkadot, hubungannya apa sih, dan juga Polkadot mungkin bisa menjelaskan lebih lanjut soal tadi Polkadot 1.0, 2.0, dan juga BlockSpace itu kenapa disebut future of Polkadot. Jadi aku mau fokus ke Polkadot dulu nih untuk pertanyaan awal-awalnya. Apa itu BlockSpace dan bedanya sama blockchain itu apa? What's the difference between BlockSpace and blockchain?
So yeah, as we heard lately that the narrative from blockchain to BlockSpace, it's not something really new. Maybe first iteration would be like in 2020 when Chris Dixon said in the podcast and talked with OG, blockchain and crypto, and the narrative continues on, and where Rob Happenweber, the Polkadot founders, one of Polkadot founders, translate the narrative into the coding. I mean, with Gavin Wood, obviously, work hand in hand to make the concept of BlockSpace become tangible. I mean, can be digest or understand by our everyday people. So, in concept of understanding that BlockSpace is a product of blockchain. So, like if in Web2 we have computational power and storage and also bandwidth of networking transfer. So in decentralized system like blockchain, BlockSpace is like virtual space where all that happen, like the computation, the storage and all that, but in distributed. What makes Polkadot push further into BlockSpace because as a modular ecosystem, like not only consists of one network, but multi-network, like parachain. Many parachain already been connected, and then past couple years, the team sees that not all blockchain utilize. I mean, block production can be empty, no transaction at all, or no store. That. So how to make this process more efficient? So the BlockSpace not just a product of blockchain, but can be made collectively all through all the parachain and the Polkadot to combine together and then allocate the resource to where the computational or storage needed more compared to maybe less transaction or less storage needed. So it's narrative go further into pay-as-you-go parachain. So not a dedicated fixed slot for a long years or 2 years, but the parachain can utilize the block space as they use. So we can minimize the wasting the resources.
I think it's very interesting for BlockSpace. I think because in similar, it's actually feeling as it's actually very similar to a virtual computer, but in blockchain. So I think it's interesting to see where will this BlockSpace goes in, in the future of Polkadot and future of blockchain. I think, yeah.
That's very true. This is a breakthrough. In a way, this is a breakthrough, and it opens a lot of doors. So, in relation to that, berhubungan dengan itu, apa manfaat dan ini, this is so template question. I'm sorry, but I have to ask, right? Like, what is the benefit and the advantages of using Polkadot for developers and blockchain projects? Like, apa aja? Like, is there like a use case, daily use case, or what do you think?
Yeah, from it could be biased and also obviously biased because, and you can imagine where Ethereum in the early days open up programmable blockchain. I mean, you can create smart contract and create that decentralized application on top of that, which cannot be done using Bitcoin. Bitcoin just transaction for transaction, and Ethereum open up so much doors where people can, for example, create tokens in a minute or so. And this is maybe Gavin or Polkadot team envision how you can easily build your own. I mean, not easy, but simplified in many ways, where you can maybe previously take months or years to build one, and then you can just, for example, take hours or day to do so. So that you can imagine how many project or blockchain, and then on top of a single blockchain, you can create many applications, decentralized applications. So the growth is like, if I can make a comparison with what is called Mandelbrot. Have you heard Mandelbrot? Yeah, something that unlimited. No end. So in that way, we need to introduce more, like we do the talk with go-to student or university student, and introduce the concept and also the application, how they can create the blockchain and also the decentralized application using Polkadot. And as the ecosystem grows, then you need resources and you need funding and all the resources needed. Now in Polkadot 2.0, maybe we can talk later, but you can get funding from the treasury. In Polkadot 2.1 is already, but into Polkadot open government in Polkadot 2.0, it's decided by community, not just from committee from something like that. So yeah.
Well, I think the benefit of using Polkadot is, of course, like the level of the customizability, and also it drastically simplified blockchain development for us, and that's why we in Mandala we use Substrate as our underlying technology of blockchain, because it's so much easier to develop blockchain from the ground up, like when you use Substrate, because there's a lot of boilerplate, there's a lot of tools that are just available open sourcely, like you can freely use it to build your own blockchain. So I think that is the main the main benefit of using Substrate or Polkadot as your underlying technology for blockchain.
I heard that Mandela Chain is using similar architecture with Polkadot, I think. Is that one of the reasons why?
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yes, it's very similar in Polkadot in that terms.
Okay, that's really nice to know. Dr. Kresna, can you please elaborate a bit more about Polkadot 2.0, because you already mentioned it. So I think, why not just jump into that?
Yeah, the main part is where Polkadot 1.0, the main company that handle the code base and the technology was Parity and Web3 Foundation, and in Polkadot 2.0, it's community collected. It's not like proprietary software by it's already been open source, but the maintainers was Parity. Now the maintainer is community through Polkadot fellowship. So anyone can apply to be a fellowship. Like Jan, if you want to apply and you want to make direction where the development continues on, and then by OpenGov it can be funded by the treasury by open decision making, on-chain decision making. Yeah, maybe that's the mind of Polkadot 2.0. Some narrative like maybe how it's relay chain connected. Like for example, now Polkadot and Kusama is different, distinguished parachain with this similar architecture. Maybe potentially in being in discussion can inside the parachain, like they call it nested parachain. So, but it's maybe still pro and cons between them. But yeah, I mean, with the open system, the possibility is endless because so many people contribute.
As a developer outside of Polkadot, for Zian, what do you think is the main manfaat from Polkadot 2.0 as an outsider, quote unquote?
I think, well, for me as an insider from Polkadot is, I think it's not, for me personally, it's not very clear. Like, it's not. I think I need to delve a little bit more about Polkadot to really understand. So like, so this is the benefit. Like, I think I must use it more, or I think I must develop it more. A little bit like in, to actually develop in Polkadot and Substrate, because honestly, this is my first project. This is my first time using Polkadot and Substrate. So there's a lot of things to be learned, and so I think I'm kind of seeing like I want to see a little bit more about Polkadot before I make a statement or something like that. Yeah, so I'm currently like just seeing on the way what's more on Polkadot, like what can I utilize more to my benefit, So I think that's
Got it. So still gonna dive in deep there because it's still pretty new-ish, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there like I didn't think that I asked this first. Is there like a real-world example of how Polkadot's interoperability can be applied to? Like, is there an actual real-world case?
Yeah, well, it's being heavily developed, but the use case or the real case of utilizing XCM, cross-chain messaging, open so many channels on the Polkadot ecosystem. For example, transferring asset between one parachain into another. So you can transfer your, for example, Akala asset or Akala token into Moonbeam or something without breaching them because they are already connected. So they are already connected in some way, like through relay chain. So why do you need to breach? Because it's already connected, right? So maybe that's the main use case for now. And for example, in the future, maybe not just asset, but any data or anything that can be, like the format that can be accepted by the blockchain can be done. For example, you can write smart contract on one parachain and then execute it on another parachain. Yeah.
But what about the security? I mean, I understand that that is very effective and it memakan lebih sedikit waktu, but like how safe is it? How about the security?
Yeah, it's already been seen a couple years back that maybe the weakest point of attack would be in the bridge, when like or interaction on and off chain. Like the blockchain is secure, immutable, so it's secure. But when it's interact with other layer like the apps or bridge, it's potentially can be attacked. Or wallet. Yeah. And that's the main purpose of Polkadot as a relay. It's a shared security layer. Sometimes it's called meta protocol or layer 0, where the Polkadot relay ensure the level of security will be the same between all the parts. Some bridges have been attacked because parachain A and parachain B connected into bridges that they have no and not in the same level of security. Yeah. But if it's in the same level, it's harder to attack. And the second one, the more parachain connected, the more nodes or validator and collator connected, means the harder the malicious actor to do the 51% attack to overcome the network.
Zian, do you have anything to add or no? None. Okay. So talking about transactions and wallets, I know that dots have quite an effective tokenomics. So how does Polkadot's tokenomics encourage user or stakeholder participation while we're on the subject of transactions?
Yeah. Maybe this is not my subject of expertise, tokenomics. I hope David can help me to answer this. But in general, it's follow the inflationary model, where it's inflationary. Yeah. So there's no there's no limit of token supply. It's continuously produced, but also applied inflationary, where it's set to be like 10% per year to make the economic in the healthy position. And the percentage of stake dot will also help the security keeps the security strong, while incentivize the participant that involved in the staking process. So means you stake the dot to help the network more secure and get incentivized. Yeah, that's maybe this simplified one. And for example, if we talk about Bitcoin, people run their own mining machine to make the security, the level of security in the good level, while get incentivized. But the narrative is still the same. The energy consumed is way heavier than proof of stake. So while you secure as a dot holder, while you secure the network, get incentivized and keep the health. Keep the earth clean. Yeah.
So something that is more on the developer side. How do the developers and the community members play a role in the development of Polkadot itself, like in both ecosystem and community? How important is the developer and community member role?
Well, I think, this is me from my point of view from outside Polkadot, but also from developer side. I think developer is a very important asset in Polkadot, because almost all the tools, even the blockchain itself, palettes, things like that, it's mostly came from volunteer developer, like open source developer. I mean, yes, there's parity for the the core blockchain stuff, but it's not an understatement to say that developer is open source developer, or maybe like volunteer developer, is contribute a big contribute. There's some big they make some big contribution to Polkadot. Sorry, yeah. And so I think, this is my personal hope. Like, if we can have more developers on Polkadot and joining like the Polkadot Fellowship program, I'm interested in that also. But it's very good, because that way we can build more stuff. We can build more tools to especially simplify, or maybe make the user experience or the developer experience better for everyone. I think that's my view.
Yeah, adding a little bit on that Polkadot, or the organization behind it, encourage community to contribute, and they will give grant if there's something useful for the community. For example, Zian needs some tool that they didn't have access yet, and then his tool can also be utilized by other community, developer community in the ecosystem. Then obviously he can apply for grant and get rewarded. Yeah, so yeah, that's some encouragement to. And if you need more, for example, a simple tool can be granted like 10k USD, for example. Maybe the complex up to 50. And if you build a long-term or big supportive tooling or software, then you can also apply to Treasury. Sometimes it get accepted by the Treasury grant. Treasury potentially limited. You can define your full-time compensation.
That sounds actually like a very supportive and encouraging environment that Polkadot has. So yeah, you heard it folks. If you have any new tools that you are working on yang sedang dikembangin mungkin, dan kalian merasa, hey, I think this can be useful for Polkadot, you can just apply, talk to Dr. Krishna here, and then how do you proceed, how can we help Polkadot more, because by helping by helping the community, you're also helping yourself and other developers and other users out there. So yeah, I think teamwork is tema yang diusung oleh Polkadot ya, emang kerjasama itu teamwork. Okay, so let's switch the topics a bit, because we have a Mandala chain here, and I bet a few of you are like, what is Mandala chain? What does it do? And yeah, and then the only thing that we know is that Mandala chain is built using or similar to the Polkadot architecture. Can you explain a bit about that, please?
Okay, I think Mandala chain is very similar in terms like architecture to Polkadot, in the sense that Mandala is in and itself is a layer 0 chain. What that means is you can build another blockchain on top of that, powered by the substrate sharding technology. And I think as to why we choose that kind of architecture, because we want Mandala chains to be able to encompass like the needs or the problem that we want to solve, especially in Indonesia. So that problem, there's many kinds of problems. There's a lot of problems that are required that its own specialized solution. And so we can only to be able to do that, to solve that, is by building another blockchain. there's a way like you cannot build like a new blockchain for the problem you're solving. You can like use smart contracts, that stuff, but there's a limit of what smart contracts can do. And I personally like experienced this because before I mainly Ethereum developers, so like I mainly built smart contract on top of Ethereum, and there's a lot of caveats or there's a lot of limits on smart contract, and there's clearly some benefit, or maybe you say like power on when you go dive deep on the protocol level, and you can like tinker stuff on the node level. And I think it gives us more power to, you know, solve some very specific problem. And so like, for example, if we say like let's banking, for example, so we need a high throughput, right, to, you know, to process transaction. And I think if we only utilize smart contract for that, we are locked to, you know, the block time of the specific blockchain we're using. So for example, like Polkadot is maybe 6 seconds or 6 seconds. And but if we have control over in the protocol level or the node level, we can change that. For example, one block time can maybe like, you know, 1 second or 2 seconds, like avalanche maybe. And that kind of power that we are searching for. And so it opens up many possibilities of what problem we can solve if we can tinker around on the protocol level. I think that's why we choose substrate. As for while layer 0, it's ours. I think it's because, you know, we want to build blockchain on top of blockchain. Like, just we can build more solution to like solve problem that is hard to solve with only smart contracts. And I think that's why we choose that architecture. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Control over what the blockchain can do, not just to deploy smart contract, is also essential, like Asian says. And maybe why would we need to create a new one instead of just deploy or follow the path porting into already existing? Because mainly this is Mandala. I think the main purpose is to solve major problem in Indonesia. Not all problem, but maybe that some crucial problem, and potentially because many organizations also reach out and want to utilize blockchain into their technology, that existing technology, but don't know how to do. And if we directly jump into the global network, then maybe not definitive enough to go there, because some cases or maybe some organization need more specialized or more customizable solution for their specific problem that they had. So go into general public blockchain wouldn't be the best choice for them. So that's why Bali blockchain under Baliola create their own Mandala chain.
So about this, it's efficient, it's fast, and you can tinker on a node level, right? We've talked about Polkadot's security, but what about Mandala chain security? Like, did you base it off of similar strategy, for lack of better word, as similar to Polkadot, or did you invent a whole new feature on your own? Can you explain a bit about that?
Okay, for the security level, it's best to, I think it's best, it's less about inventing a new things, it's more about solving problems. So I think we doesn't need to invent a new things, so why don't we just take what works? And it's very similar, or maybe you can arguably say it's the same as Polkadot, because there's more. So layer 1 of the Mandala chain, we call it Madhya Mandala. So if there's more of Madhya, then there's obviously a lot more of security that are added to the Mandala chain. And I think that kind of model is very similar to the blockchain parachain model. And I think as of why we choose that, because we doesn't really want to invent a new things, because it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of effort to invent new things. It takes a lot of trial and error to prove that it works, it's right, maybe it's fast. Like there's a lot of things that just where there's involving when you invent a new things. So we decided to just take what works and then build on top of that. Then that's my
Yeah, maybe compared to Polkadot today, we started Mandala chain as a proof of authority consensus. Yeah, if we remember at the beginning, Polkadot also start with proof of authority before become nominated proof of stake. So I don't know, in the long term, maybe reaching into similar pathway, but maybe can be kept on the proof of authority. It depends on the use cases. Like if it's more into government use cases, then maybe we stay longer on the proof of authority, or maybe we can create another layer 1, potentially as many as possible to accommodate what problem that we need to solve. So for now, we use proof of authority. Proof of authority.
This is a bit of an community question thing, but so let's talk a bit about scalability. Scalability is very important for any blockchain. How does Mandala plan to work on that? I mean, Mandala is still young, as we know, and I think it's still on the testing level.
Yes.
I think, so scalability. How do you guys plan on doing that?
Okay. For the scalability side of things, we can, again, it's less about inventing new things. So we take what works. So if we see Polkadot or maybe like for comparison, Polkadot and Ethereum. So in Ethereum, there's kind of roll up, to solve the scalability problem. I mean, like ZK roll up, things like that, or side chains like Avalanche. I mean, it works, but if we see Polkadot, there's like, the parachain stuff. It's, I think we take that as an example because while, yes, roll up and, side chains works, there's a lot of overhead when you want to communicate with each other. So that's introduce the problems like bridges, things like that. But if we look at both Polkadot side of things, there's XGM. It's built on the blockchain itself, and so we can utilize that. It's much more, robust solution than bridges in my view, and so that's why we are building on top of Polkadot, and we are using the Polkadot as architecture as our Mandala architecture as a blockchain.
Yeah, as for now, because it's still early stage and we are still rapidly testing it, we're not proven to be scalable. But following the Polkadot journey to become one leading interoperable multi-chain, I'd be wise to take the note on that. So as the time passes and then the network grows, then we can validate that it's already worked for us. But we hope on that, but we cannot say much on that yet. But we can reflect on it.
So I think the last and most important questions for projects that are interested in collaborating, working together, maybe support Mandala Chain. How can they do that? Who do they reach out to? What's the procedure?
Okay, for that, as we know it, Mandala is very young. It's still in the testing phase, but we plan to open beta testnet in November. Okay, so I think that's the time where we actually need a lot of people, like, just to try out things, build stuff on top our Mandala blockchain, and to share us some feedback of what can we improve on that, what should we add, what can we fix, things like that. And on how, well, you can build dApps maybe, or maybe like you can maybe reach us to me, or maybe you can reach us to me, like, so how can we collaborate on Mandala and stuff like that, I think that's
Maybe there's another question on that, because people can build decentralized application, build their own blockchain, but what about for example, company or business that already have their own system and then want to explore more to utilize blockchain? So Mandala chain under Xian also create a new layer on top of the blockchain called integration layer, where people or business or organization do need to change their existing software. They just need to plug and play into the Web3 site. Right?
Yeah.
So let me just clarify. So basically, you're building an integration layer so to make it easier for, let's say, Web2 companies to just plug into the Web3 front end, and then just make it seamlessly to get into the blockchain.
There's this
Right.
Okay, that's the simplified version of it. I mean, we try to be as generic as possible. I mean, if that company or maybe some system that requires specialized solution, and then we can provide a customized solution just for that system or for that company. But for us, in the integration layer, it's more about when people ask, like, how can I interact with the blockchain, or maybe they have something like, oh my god, this is so hard, how can we just do this without all of this stuff in? And that's the problem that we are trying to solve. Like, maybe let's say you have an NFT, right? So you have to get just to log in on your wallet or maybe some NFT marketplace, and you have to do bunch of things that are maybe require some learning, especially for those who aren't familiar with blockchain and how all this work. And so this is this problem we're trying to solve, so we can say, like, it's actually not very hard to interact with blockchain. And because if that problem is solved, I think that will massively increase the mass adoption of blockchain and blockchain for solving problems like that.
So let me get this straight. So it's possible, like, let's say I'm a private business and I want to get into the blockchain, to make it easier, but I don't know how. I can just request you guys to make me a private chain or something.
That's true.
Really?
Yes, because
Nice.
if your company requires some special solution that are not applicable in our current blockchain, there's some Mandala maybe, or there's not applicable there, maybe smart contract wouldn't be enough for you, and then you could obviously build another private chain or maybe blockchain on top of Mandala and connect to the the layer 0 and share security.
That private chain is specifically customized for my needs. Damn. Okay. Do you have anything to add on, Dr. Krishna? Nothing. Okay, good. Okay, so I think that covers it. We've been here for exactly 1 hour, And I think that's the end of the panel today. Thank you so much, Dr. Krishna, a Polkadot ambassador, for coming, and also Zian, Mandela Chain developer. Yes. Thank you for coming, and thank you also for the audience for showing up. Again, apologies for it being 30 minutes late, but that's how it is. So this is it for Block Talk episode 7. Thank you, everyone, and let's see you on the next one. Cheers.